we come out of the Labor Day holiday nationally. This is the average of the major recent national polls, and you see Kamala Harris with a 3-point advantage over Donald Trump. A couple ways you could look at this. If you're a Democrat, you're obviously happy that Harris is ahead of Trump. You're also happy that this is an improvement from where the race was when Joe Biden was the Democratic candidate. He'd pretty much been trailing Donald Trump all year in the polls. So a reversal of that with Harris as the Democratic candidate. But if you're a Republican, you're not necessarily despairing when you look at these numbers. In fact, you could probably take some solace in them because Donald Trump is no stranger to being in this position on Labor Day. In fact, this position, being down 3, is better for him than it was the last 2 times he ran. In 2016, he was down on average by 5 points to Hillary Clinton at this point. And of course, he came back to win that election. And in 2020, he trailed Joe Biden by high single digits at this point. Trump didn't win in 2020, but of course, he made it very, very close in the Electoral College. And that's one of the keys here. A question for the fall and election night itself is, does Trump still have that advantage just because of the geographic distribution of his support in the Electoral College, where he could afford potentially to lose the popular vote by 2, 3, 4 points, something like that, and still potentially stitch together 270 electoral votes? So let's take a look at the road to 270. We're going to be using this one a lot between now and Election Day. 7 states in gray here. These are the core battleground states. 6 of them were blue states in 2020. They went for Joe Biden. 1 of them was a red state in 2020. That's North Carolina. That's the only state where Democrats in this battleground are playing offense. In the other states, the Democrats are trying to hold on to what they already carried in 2016. Now, in terms of the polling at the state level, it's all pretty close right now. Democrats, Kamala Harris, seem to be doing a tick better in the 3, let's call them Great Lakes states, in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Now, that's probably the most direct path for Harris if she's going to get to 270. Let's just play it out. If she were to hold those 3 states, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, there you go. You see it. She's at exactly 270 electoral votes. This would also require her, by the way, to hang on to that 1 congressional district around Omaha, Nebraska. They give out the electoral votes by district there. Biden had carried that in 2020. It's a district, very suburban. It's a lot of demographics that have been favoring Democrats. They would need to hold on to that, too. But that would be 270 electoral votes. Now, where it gets dicey for Harris is, well, I say the polling's been a tick better for her in these states, and it was a tick better for Biden when he was the Democratic candidate, too. These are also states, Wisconsin especially, where we saw, in Michigan, too, where we saw some of the biggest polling misses in 2020 and even back in 2016. A lot of theories why, but these states are demographically similar in that they have large blue-collar white populations. And the question there is, are pollsters able to reach necessarily all of the sort of a representative sample of the Trump supporters from that demographic in those states? It's been an issue before. If it's an issue again, then it gets tricky for Harris, especially if she were to lose. Let's see this one here, Pennsylvania. If Harris were to lose Pennsylvania, that's the biggest of the swing states. It has 19 electoral votes. To compensate for losing Pennsylvania, even if she's getting Michigan, Wisconsin, she's going to have to win 2 of these states from the Sun Belt to get over the 19 that she loses by not having Pennsylvania. And if Trump gets Pennsylvania, his simplest path would just look like this. Hang on to North Carolina, which he already won, as we said, in 2020. It was close, but he won it in 20, and then go to Georgia. The margin in Georgia in 2020 was just about 12,000 votes, just under 12,000 votes. The polling for Trump, when you look at all of these different battleground states, it's tended to be the best for him or close to the best for him in Georgia. Extremely close, but if Trump were to do that, Pennsylvania, hold North Carolina, get Georgia, and there you see it. He'd be at exactly 270 electoral votes. So those are probably the most efficient paths for each candidate to get to 270. But you can see there's all sorts of other combinations that are possible. And the good news is we got more than 60 days to go through all those possibilities. So we are just getting started.